We begin in the island town of Redfall, Massachusetts, USA, after scientific experimentation results in a takeover of the town by a legion of vampires, powerful undead humans who feed on blood and can only be killed by ultraviolet, or UV, radiation, such as from sunlight, or by being staked with sharp objects. Some of the townspeople, including 4 de facto vampire hunters, attempt to escape the town by boat, but the vampires use dark magic to eclipse the sun and turn the surrounding ocean into an impassable wall of water around the island, trapping Redfall's surviving population. The hunters include Jacob Boyer, a former elite military man with a keen eye for sharpshooting, who was sent into Redfall by Bellwether Security, a military organization, ostensibly to protect the town, but was later separated from his platoon and forced to go rogue. Layla Ellison, a former biomedical engineer who was an intern at Avum Therapeutics, the biotech corporation responsible for the vampire outbreak, before the collapse of Redfall, with gaps in her memory which suggest Avum experimented on her, giving her access to telekinetic psychic powers. Devinda Crowsley, an internet-famous paranormal investigator, amateur cryptozoologist, and aspiring inventor, armed with cutting-edge paranormal tech, wound up in Redfall during his book tour, and is now forced to put his tools to work against the vampires. Remy de la Rosa, a brilliant combat engineer with experience on the front lines of conflict, lost her entire Navy rescue unit crew on the way into Redfall, and has vowed to use her robotic companion to unleash hell on the vampires of the town, while helping to save its survivors. The hunters are forced to join together to slay countless vampires, along with cultists, their human collaborators, and Bellwether, whose soldiers are assigned to forcefully collect the research data that resulted in the creation of vampires by Avum, leading them to attack anyone on sight. The hunters first return to the town from their boat and liberate the local fire station, turning it into their headquarters and a safe haven for survivors. They then begin venturing out into the town to kill vampires, worshipping cultists, and Bellwether soldiers, while seeking out the details of the events surrounding the source of the vampirism. Eventually, the hunters learn that the nearby vampires were created by Dr. Peter Addison, a scientist and executive at Avum, which has a facility on the island. Addison used an experimental procedure to become the vampire god known as the Hollow Man, before beginning to spread vampirism across the downtown, eastern half of the island. Investigating Hollow's home, the hunters discover that Addison experimented on his own daughter, eventually leading to her death. They then use Hollow's radio broadcasts and psychic echoes to track him down to his nest, a supernatural vampire lair accessed through a portal, which is linked to a remnant, an object that held significant meaning to the vampire in life, and manifests as a twisted version of a Redfall location, where they kill him. With Hollow dead, the island's radios begin to work again, allowing the hunters to contact other survivors on the island. The hunters receive a distress call from the Redfall Maritime Center on the western half of the island, and head over to liberate it, making it their second survivor haven. There, they learn that Hollow was not the only god on the island, and that there are 2 more, Bloody Tom and Miss Whisper, present in the area. They investigate a Bellwether outpost, discovering that Tom and Whisper's identities are Thomas Killdeer and Dr. Alice Young, also former Avum executives. Exploring Tom and Whisper's psychic spaces, the hunters learn more about their pasts, and discover that Tom intentionally let his ill father die so that he could focus on his research, while Whisper experimented on her own patients at the rehabilitation center she ran. After acquiring the necessary remnants, along with skulls of nearby high-ranking vampires, the hunters are able to track down and access the nests of both gods, proceeding to infiltrate and eliminate them. With the deaths of Tom and Whisper, the hunters learn of one last remaining god, Black Sun, who's responsible for the eclipse blocking the sun over Redfall. The hunters receive a psychic summons from Charles Beck, one of the 2 founders of Avum, who's been forcibly transformed into the vampiric beast known as Bloodbag Chuck. Chuck's psychic projection reveals that Sun is his twin sister and Avum co-founder, Claire, and sends the hunters into his own psychic realm to learn the truth of the events surrounding their research, and to obtain the pieces of his remnant, in order to destroy him and end his suffering. Inside his realm, they learn that Charles and Claire worked with Elias Kurz, a billionaire venture capitalist who used his wealth and influence to arrange for the transfer of a young woman, named Grace, to the AVUM facility for experimentation into their anti-aging research. AVUM began referring to Grace as the Gateway, due to her blood containing miraculous healing properties which were the foundation for the development of vampirism, serving as a gateway through which humans could be transformed into vampires. When AVUM was on the verge of being investigated by authorities and investors due to conflicting reports regarding its overpromising of anti-aging technology, Claire, Charles, Addison, Killdeer, and Young killed the Gateway, placing her body into a vegetative state via medically induced coma. They kept her in the coma indefinitely, continuously harvesting her blood while she was in a state of suspended animation, using it to transform themselves into gods while creating a vampire army of loyal followers. Charles, regretting what they did to the Gateway, attempted to walk away from AVUM and expose what the group had done, but before he could, Claire murdered him to keep him quiet, afterward transforming his corpse into Chuck, a god in a vegetative state which more blood could be siphoned from. The hunters use Chuck's remnant to mercifully end his existence, and in return, he provides them with Sun's remnant, allowing them to gain access to her nest, in order to destroy her. The hunters then proceed to confront Sun in her nest, who reveals that she manipulated them into killing the other gods, as they had become her rivals for power and control. After a fierce battle, the hunters manage to defeat and stake Sun, killing her, and upon leaving her nest, are greeted by the Gateway's psychic projection, who thanks them for eliminating the people who took advantage of her, but warns that her body is still being held and siphoned somewhere. With Sun dead, the eclipse finally ends, and sunlight returns to Redfall, killing most of the vampires, before the town's remaining survivors then stage a counterattack, killing more vampires and forcing their cultists to flee into the wilderness. The dark magic isolating Redfall from the outside world also begins to wear off, returning the surrounding ocean waters to normal. However, not all of the vampires are slain, with some managing to escape during the chaos.